Good morning, everyone. Welcome to part 3 of our Connected Construction Workflow Series, brought to you by Empower, and today we'll be joined by our partner, JobPlanner. If you've been with us for the first 2 sessions, you know our goal has been to show construction leaders what's possible when estimating, payroll, job costing, and scheduling finally work together in one connected system. Today, we're focusing on one of the biggest challenges construction teams face: coordinating schedules, field updates, and financials across multiple tools. Too often, project managers are stuck reconciling spreadsheets, superintendents are updating whiteboards, and CFOs are left waiting weeks for accurate job cost data. That's where Empower and JobPlanner come in. Together with Acumatica's Construction Edition, we're helping companies bring field and finance together in a single real-time system. We'll begin with insights from Empower on why connected construction workflow is critical today, followed by a live demonstration from JobPlanner showing how this works in practice. And of course, we'll save some time at the end for questions. With that said, I'm going to introduce Joe Hassan. And Joe, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Eli, and our friends from JobPlanner. As Eli alluded to, today is the third part of a 3-part series that we are going to finish up the webinar series today. Again, Eli alluded to, it's the modern construction tech stack. It's all about connectivity and things in real time. We earlier did Stack, which starts the project off doing digital takeoffs and estimates. And now we got the job, and JobPlanner takes over the management of that job, and they'll get into more details of what they bring to the table. The other part of the series, was the payroll side. That was showing you that lumber is geared for construction payroll because of things like prevailing wage rates and union reporting, just to name a particulars that are unique to the construction industry. Our partners in this series focus on the construction industry. And that's what this series is about, the technological stack that we bring to the table. Today's topic will be about Empower. My company has been doing ERP for 30 plus years in the construction world for a long time. We've just moved on from legacy applications to Acumatica Construction Edition. It's a modern cloud-based ERP construction package. Myself, I got 30 years plus. That's kind of outdated. I'm up to 32. So I've been doing this for a long time with a lot of different companies, mainly in construction, distribution, and some manufacturing. My degree is in accounting. I had a CPA license. Part of our quote unquote secret sauce is that we have accounting people that implement your software, because at the end of the day, we're producing debits and credits. And at the end of the day, we're doing job profitability on every job that a construction company is in progress of doing. Modern construction company basically means I've got connected systems or seamless coordination, which is back to that other diagram between estimating, project execution, and financials. All this stuff has to be as close to real time as possible, or you're not in a modern construction company. Traits of a modern construction company: data-driven decision-making. We're operating off as close to real-time data as possible. We are doing proactive analysis, not reactive analysis. And if you don't have a construction package that on my phone, I can feel warm and fuzzy about my project's profitability, it's not a modern application. Modern applications let you have operational agility. I can scale. I don't need more people in the back office to take care of as I scale. AI, Acumatica is AI first, built into the core. AI is part of everybody's future. It's present and future. And your ERP system has to be native, and they must have a strategy of implementing AI in their ERP platform. The systems are all integrated. You can't, rekeying data from this system to that system and etc. That's not a modern company. Everything's integrated in real time. and you got to be able to scale. Today I'm a $10 million construction company, but tomorrow I want to be 20, and the day after that I want to be 40. And these systems will go a long way of determining whether you can scale the company. How they all work together. We talked about Stack earlier. It creates estimates and starts the process of getting the job. Once the job is intact, JobPlanner kicks in, that they'll get into more particulars with the scheduling of work orders, tracking product, field reports, etc. The lumber payroll is geared for construction. It's certified payroll, union reporting, time tracking, all that via apps, but it's geared for construction-specific payroll. Acumatica Construction Edition is the one that keeps tracks of balls and strikes, whether I'm making money, losing money, WIP reporting. All the accounting functions are in Acumatica Construction Edition, and these other systems communicate bidirectionally between Acumatica Construction Edition and the other products. Benefits of Connected: eliminate data silos. How many spreadsheets are you keeping track of in your company? You got to get more towards analysis of data than rekeying data. If your company is in the paradigm the other way, I'm doing more keying data and analyzing data, then you're not a modern construction company. Real-time job costing. If I'm a construction manager, owner, I want to know and feel good about my jobs, whether I'm making money on them or I'm behind on them, so that I'm not reactionary, I'm proactive. And JobPlanner is going to get into connecting the field, from the field to the home office. We'll let on point number 3, that's where these guys come into play. And we're streamlining overall in all these solutions, end-to-end, cradle to grave projects. A lot of our customers, we allude to this, are on QuickBooks for construction. May have gotten you started, but it's not going to get you where you need to go. Typically what happens in the QuickBooks world, I got a whole bunch of spreadsheets that I'm cutting and pasting data into, and they're outdated the minute they got the data cut and pasted into them. Their payroll in QuickBooks isn't built for certified payroll and jobs and union reporting. They can't connect their field and home office. They're never back to QuickBooks. We use multiple systems that don't talk to each other, and you're unable to scale. QuickBooks is an entry-level accounting program. It is not for a company, a growing company that is growing and adding more jobs. The more jobs you add or want to add, the more QuickBooks becomes a deterrent. Typical scenarios, we'll go over them real quick when we get into the QuickBooks versus Acumatica. True job costing, that's not existing QuickBooks. Acumatica is built in real time. You can't do certified payrolls, full compliance, support, and automation. You can't track change orders. It's not physically integrated with budget and billing. Field collaboration, you don't connect the field that JobPlanner is going to show back to the Acumatica Construction Edition. Financial forecasting, manual spreadsheets, live dashboard forecasting tools that a modern construction company would want. Integrations, all minimal or manual. And we partner with companies that their whole focus and expertise is the area of expertise that we have presented in this 3-part webinar series. Hidden costs, manual entry of takeoff and job data, wasted time, error. Again, I go back to the topic. If you're keying more data and manually keying data versus analyzed data, you've got the paradigm backwards. No centralized visibility into job performance, compliance risk that QuickBooks isn't going to track, like lien waivers and other things that are compliance issues that JobPlanner will allude to with some of these safety reports and all those things that you can do in JobPlanner. And the billing, you're not going to do AIA progress billings in QuickBooks. That is required of companies that do progressive billings for their companies, that percent complete with retainage and all the other things that QuickBooks isn't going to do. Building the future of business together. Acumatica was bought for $2 billion last year. That's a great big number. It's wonderful to say that, right? But what that company bought was the technology under the hood and the ecosystem. That's what the company bought. So going forward with that kind of money behind it, Acumatica will continue to expand, grow, and innovate. And AI will be hugely, and it's already a big part of their existing platform, and it'll continue to get better. Cloud transformation, the transformed business. We're connecting people and processes. Information centralized, data is actionable, so decisions can be made anywhere, anytime. And we're positioned to leverage future technology innovations like AI. The breadth and power meet your needs. Acumatica's 10,000 plus customers. You know, the net promoter score is probably the best thing that's on there. And the fact that 34% of the people that have bought Acumatica believe it's been a good solution for them. It's a plus 34. I'm sorry, not 34%. That's a misnomer. And our customers have a higher net promoter score, the customers we deal with. Accolades, that's just the accolades of what Acumatica has brought to the table. It's just awards they've won each and every year. The middle one is a good one. It's 2025. These are independent studies done by various organizations. Okay, role-based activities. This is just activities. You can base your setup of your users based on roles, depending on who they are. They have different access rights, etc., into the Acumatica software. Typical pain points we run into: restricted visibility, inefficient processes, aging IT, platform constraints, limited industry functionality, poor agility, slow responses, high cost of legacy systems, workplace productivity, acquiring talent, and supply chain challenges. Acumatica Construction Edition, I'm not going to go through all those, but we're going to bring to the table a single version of the truth, which is what this is all about. It's the keeping track of balls and strikes, because a construction company is geared off of job profitability.
Perfect, Joe. Well, we're going to jump into the Acumatica demo after JobPlanner. So, Joe, I appreciate you, and we're going to shift gears here and bring up Bart and Pat from JobPlanner. So, Bart, Pat, the floor is yours, gentlemen.
All right. I'm going to share my screen here. So I'm going to give a live look at our system. It's a test plan room that I have that I'm just going to walk through and talk about some features. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up right now. There you are, brother.
All right, great. So, one of the things that makes JobPlanner special is our ability to configure it and to create different workflows and different processes and different ways that our system can be used. And we'll even work with customers. And I think what makes us different than most companies is we will also work to customize, to understand your workflow, and if necessary, build in a special workflow that works for your company. I'll talk a little bit about that as we go, but I'm just going to basically give a high-level overview of most of our features, so you can just have an understanding of what features we offer. But if there's anything that anybody would like any more detail on, certainly ask questions, and we can schedule, a separate demo outside of it and get into more detail. So right now, I'm just going to dive into a project. This Tower Hotel is a test project, a test system. We've got a local project dashboard. And one of the things that I'm not going to show it all today, I just want everybody to be aware that we do have it, is an invitation to bid system. And it's a messaging system. So you can message people whether or not they want to accept a project or decline to work on a project. It can be, will you show up at this meeting, yes or no, and track those responses. So it's a full blown system that can be turned off. It's a special add-on. Same with a pre-qualification system. So we've got the ability to build a question and answer and scoring system around our contacts. It's customized to the way that you want it designed. I won't show that today, but it is something that we offer. I'm going to mostly focus on our field tools. I'll touch a little bit about our job costing and just some of our other things here, which are pretty special. So I'll just talk here about, we do have meeting minutes. So the ability to create different meetings, have follow-up meetings on that, record the meeting minutes. You can log who attended the meeting. You can copy those meeting items forward. Pick a really good one there. Let me just pick one that's concluded here. And then you distribute those meeting minutes out. So we do have meeting minutes available. We've got time cards. So the ability to track people on the job site's time, or crews and or equipment on the job site within an approval process. And that is, it's not listed under our field tools, but that is part of our mobile app. So I would consider time cards our field tool. And then we've got, I'm going to show attachments first. So our attachments is our file system, and it's basically, it has 3 branches that you can see. Drawings is a pseudo branch off of our drawings, which I'll show you in a minute, which just allows it to be in this view. But you can create a folder structure just by right-clicking new folder, and you can create as many folder structures as you want. It's very Windows Explorer-esque, and you can just right-click upload, drag and drop files, and create store all your files and folders around your project. You can even upload and dump in a folder with multiple other folders in it. So it's really easy to create it, and it's super easy to share too. So you've got your shared, which anytime you invite somebody out on the project, they will have access to those files. If you're part of that project, you're on that project, you will be able to see those files. And then we've got our private branch. The private branch is only the people that are within your company that have proper permissions to see these files and folders will be able to see. And some of these folders we will create for you. So daily reports here, for instance, every single day a folder gets created with that day and puts your files from your daily reports into that folder. Same with I don't have one here, but submittals is another one. You can create it so all your approved submittals go into a folder structure. And let me just show you how easy it is to share. Let me find something here that maybe has multiple. So like, let's say I just wanted to share these 2 files. I can just check and share and bring up my project list. I get a unique link that will get emailed out. And I can just show you what that looks like here really quick. So just those 2 files here will get shared. And then we have our drawings folder, which you can see here, up here is just a reflection of it. But here's where you get into the details. So it allows you to upload every revision and then automatically creates you a current set based off of all your uploads. So the system will maintain that current set for you. We will OCR the page numbers and page descriptions and fill that out for you. There's a reconciliation process to go through to make sure it's all correct. And you've got your drawings here, which you can click through and you can easily see. So this A21 floor plan I can see as part of 2 revisions. And I can go back to and see the revision 1 and the first issue to see how it's changed. And then our drawings have a markup capability where you can, some basic markup where you can cloud it, highlight it, link it to a photo or other documents. And just like our other files, these are very easily shared, where I can just go up here and share. It's super easy to filter these. And this is also part of our app. And then we've got a photo gallery. So all the photos within our system are in one spot within the system that you can bring up, click through, and really easy to share. Maybe I just want to share Thursday and one drawing from Friday. I guess there's only one drawing on Thursday, but it's super easy just to select a header and select all these drawings from this Friday and one from this Thursday to share, and then download those files or just share the whole photo gallery. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about reports. We have a project level report, and then we've got a whole system level report. And this allows you to basically create reports and then to save those reports and rerun later. So you can add the columns that you want to see on those reports, and some different filters and statuses that you can add. Now, one of the things that we also have available is the ability to create a custom report. So even if it's not something that's here, we have the ability to build, create, and add a report that will show up in this report list that's completely custom from anything that you see here. All right, moving along pretty quick. I'm going to get into what we consider the field tools, and I'm going to show you the specifications. The specifications is a brand new module that we just finished. That kind of goes together with the drawings and attachments. Now, some people will choose, not to even use our drawings. You can just use attachments, keep them in folders. But most people will use the drawings, and they'll use attachments for ancillary files. Maybe it's an insurance document or a form that needs to get filled out, something like that. And now we've got specifications where you can upload your specs in a very specific spot to be downloaded, shared, and viewed and searched. So we will now OCR your specs. We'll separate those into the proper divisions and sections, and any addendas that come in can replace those specific sections. You can view those specific sections within the app. You can search those, export those. I can open the whole spec book here. So let's say I just wanted to search for, let's just say drywall. I can search. It's going to look through everything available and look for the word drywall. And so, this is very similar to our drawings. It's just doing it for specifications. And then we also have the ability to create submittals from these specifications. So the system will look for your submittals, and it'll read out the spec sections and attempt to create the submittals based on your specifications. So I think I probably should go to submittals next. So it can, your submittals can be created automatically for you. And you can create different workflows and saved workflows that get added to your submittals. It's maybe not the best one. Let's find one here. So, this one right here is has been submitted already. And, people can use this in many different ways, but you can set it up so that a submittal, if you're a general contractor, your submittal goes straight to your subcontractors, and they can submit it. And once it's submitted, you can design how that submittal goes through. Does it come back to you as the project manager first? You review it, approve it, and then maybe it goes to an owner or an architect or an engineer, and then maybe it comes back to you before it's finally approved. You can create that workflow, set it up, and then easily save that and add that to your submittals. Let's see here. We've got inspections. So the ability to create a new inspection type and even put that on a schedule. So this weekly safety inspection that you see here is something that's created once a week that somebody needs to fill out. So all of this is free form. You create the different sets of categories and questions that get asked as part of this inspection. So, yes, no, NA in this case. You can comment on these. So like, maybe there's just a note that you want to add. You can add that comment to it. And just about everything in our system allows you to attach a file to it almost everywhere you go, whether it's in the field tools or just as part of a process. So you can add an attachment in general. There's an attachment sections, but you can add it to each question. So maybe you want to take a picture of a particular question. And this can be, and there's different types of things that can be added to. Like, so for instance, there's a signature response type that you can add where somebody would have to sign off on a certain thing. So it doesn't have to all be yes, no, it can be completely configurable. Let's see. All right. Daily reports. So on our daily reports, we call it daily reports, but it's configurable. And I guess just to prove that point, I can see that this daily report set up as a Monday, Wednesday, Friday report, because the red indicator means here that report's been missed. So let's go back. I can find one on here's a green one. This means it's been submitted. So there should be some data here. So in this case, you can have different sets of questions of your survey questions that get asked on different schedules. So you could have a true daily report where you ask daily questions of your field personnel, but maybe on Friday you have additional safety questions that you want to ask. So you can set up multiple different templates on multiple different schedules for your daily report. And just looking through here, and let me just show you what one looks like here. We've got the true daily report that can be done. We've got weekly summary reports that can come out through here. Even when you just go to download a report, if I just do let me do report only, there's a bunch of different configurations that can happen on that report. So a lot of different ways to see that daily report, or just hit download on one of them. Show you what it looks like. So in here, we're showing the surveys with a thumbnail of the photo, or a small photo, which I could have defined as part of the process, the size that I wanted to see. And I can click on this and open up the full file on it. And as part of things that can be configured, a lot of this can be turned on or turned off. So one of the things, for instance, you see here is inspections. Some customers will choose not to use our full inspections module, but just to use this here, just to add a log to it. And people that are using our inspections will probably choose to turn this off, just to avoid confusion, so that nobody has to see that. And that can go for all different parts of the system too. If for instance, submittals, we've got customers that don't use submittals at all. That can be turned off or disabled. Really quick here, we've got a scheduling system. So you can create your list of tasks. You can import this from Microsoft Project, your task list. We can see that in a Gantt form, where all this can be dragged and dropped, and dependent tasks can be updated based on how you have your dependencies set up. Tasks, subtasks, different milestones that can be added here. You can save this as a template. Super easy to share this, just to share the schedule out as a read-only. Trying to think what else is really important here. You can get detail. I bring up a task here. I can see all the different dependencies. I can add different people to those tasks. So the more you use this, if you assign it to an employee or a subcontractor, it gives you a lot more tracking. We've got an approval process that can be added to the task. And another thing, you can add attachments just about to anything. You can add attachments to different tasks. You can also, there's a lot of different communication that can happen. So if I open this task here, I can see that I can add attachments. I can add from my project attachments. So I could reference, let's say, my cover sheet or my A1 page. But I could come in here and post comments about that task as well. RFI, we have that available. I'll just open one up and kind of just so you can see it. This one is, you're basically asking a question and then putting it through a response and approval process. So this one's a little bit more manual, which allows you to set the ball in court. Depending on what the question is, it might have to go to an architect. Maybe it's something that you can answer, or the owner needs to answer. So you would control whose ball in court that goes to. We do have the ability to make a RFI public or not. And what that means is you allow everybody to see it. So, a lot of times if it's a general question, you want everybody that's on the job to have access to the RFI, but sometimes maybe you don't. You just want certain people to see it. So you can control that. We've got our action items and a punch list. They're basically the same thing. Punch list being, it basically allows you to keep your punch list separate from your action items. So you can keep your project closeout, your actual punch separate from ongoing tasks that happen on the project. So I'll just kind of bring this one up here. It's got a workflow that's built into it. Is it complete? Is it resolved? A before and after photo can be uploaded as part of the process. But then this goes through a walkthrough. And then we have our job costing side to it. So some of this, can be used. A lot of this is where we're heavily integrated with Acumatica. We can already pull in projects from Acumatica. We can pull in contacts from Acumatica that are on the project. But here there's a lot that we can pull into. So, for instance, we can sync the budget from Acumatica. We can bring in certain details. We can customize our budget to show different views. This allows you flexibility on different people that can see certain things in our system. So for instance, we've got our contracts and our commitments and purchase orders. Invoices can be created in our system and pushed to Acumatica. It just really depends on what your workflow is. I had a contractor call me the other day, and he wanted somebody to be able to see payments made. So if somebody called his project manager and said, "Hey, where's my check at?" that they could bring that up in our system and know where it's at without having to give them access to the accounting system. So, there's definitely certain things that we can do here in conjunction with Acumatica or not. And there's, we try to make it so you can do as much of it in our system as you can. We just had one the other day where we've got commitments and we've got change orders to those commitments, where they want to be able to have their project managers create the commitment in our system, but create the purchase order in Acumatica. I don't necessarily understand why, but we've got the flexibility within our system to allow that to happen so that their current workflow can be accomplished within both of our systems. So, just really quick, we've got our commitments, and we just drill into a commitment here. You can create the schedule of values for that commitment. We've got the different change orders that can be applied to that commitment, and then you can invoice those commitments, create your payable invoice, and then we can track payments within the system, and then you can as part of the process you could create a financial markup to it. And then I guess just to show you, let me just bring up an invoice here really quick, and this can all get pushed to Acumatica. It's got a certain workflow, and some people will use us because they want to invite their subcontractor to create the invoice in the system for them, where they simply review it and approve it. Others just want their PMs to create the invoice. queue it, and then their accounting department comes in, looks at it, and then does the final push to Acumatica, where it becomes the source of truth. So here's just an example of an invoice, a schedule of values. This one's approved, but you can have, retainage here. You can have, for progress billing here. I talked a little bit about inviting to bill here, but you can export it here, and a lot of this is customizable. You have your AIA forms here, and this can be completely customizable too, to maybe have it roll up by division, to show your change orders as part of it, or not, to show only the things that are being billed in this billing period versus everything. There's a lot of customization that can happen. And so without getting too much more into the job costing side, and some people turn this off completely. That's okay too. But usually there's a combination of what works best for each individual customer. I don't think we have any two customers that are the same. And I just want to show you a little bit of the, sophistication of the system to a certain extent. So, if I go to, you can create different users in the system that have different permissions. So, here's just all the different permissions that can be set. Now there's a default standard. So not to scare anybody here, but you can really trim down who gets what access, who can see what, and then even the notifications. You can define every single email that the system sends, who gets it and when. And I just really quick on the invoicing we talked about here. There's just a lot of different settings that you can set up to what your invoice would look like. And just like your daily reports, you can have a lot of different settings that customize that daily report. And then we'll get customers. We just had one the other day that works for a local government, or is doing work for a local government, and that requires the invoice back to the city, I believe, to have a progress of every status of every contractor on that project. And, we built that as part of the invoice for them as a custom export. There's charged a few hours to do that, but those are certain things that we can do to make that person's exact process. They gave us the exact invoice that needed to go out, and we built that into the system for them. So that's it in a super high, flying through fast demo. Most of the time, we could do probably an hour just on field tools, an hour just on job costing. So you get the very abridged version of it. But if anybody sees anything that they'd like and then want to see more, you can go to jobplanner.com. We've got some videos. We've got a lot of documentation on our product, and we're happy to do any individual demo, answer any questions individually.
Bart, thank you. I think even at a 30,000 foot view, folks can start to see the power that JobPlanner brings, and not only the power, but to your point, the flexibility to help align with workflows that they may have that's unique to them. So I appreciate that. We're going to switch gears now and jump back.
Can I jump in for just one moment?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Pat Mulcairn on the sales side. So Bart, thanks. You did a great job showing this. Couple high-level thoughts. We are thrilled with our partnership with Acumatica. They had a native solution for project management that had a lot of holes in it. They evaluated many different vendors, looked at us, and picked JobPlanner to be their default setting. So if you go to a need Acumatica project management, you're getting JobPlanner. You don't have to. You're not required to take it, but that is the default setting. So we're really thrilled with that. You don't have to be Acumatica to use JobPlanner, but that is by far our best partnership. Implementation. Some people are so used to heavy implementations. The part for JobPlanner, Bart and his team will do implementation in a few hours. So it's generally in the span of a week, break up a few meetings, and you're fully up and running. You get a dedicated support rep. who's highly incentivized to make sure they have an outstanding, exceptional user experience, because we require and really need for our business model to work long-term clients. So we do a great job of customer support. So just want to throw a few different items here at the end.
No, that's perfect. I appreciate you, Pat. And I think it's going to kind of speak to, I saw one question come to about that sort of the implementation and the support piece. I think you started to touch on that, but we'll get into it with the Q&A at the end. That's super, super helpful. I appreciate you both, Bart, Pat. I'm going to switch gears, bring Joe back into the fold so we can take a really quick look at the Acumatica system. I know we've got crunched a little bit for time, but I want to give Joe the floor again. So Bart, Pat, thank you both. Joe, brother, the floor is yours.
Okay. You want to share my screen?
Yep. You should go into
stage or
yeah. You have your screen pulled up at the bottom. You can hit that plus sign and it'll give you your share screen.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Does everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Bart. I want to say something. This is an Acumatica dashboard, but I want to allude to something that in our typical construction companies, and Bart alluded to it, the people that manage the project aren't necessarily usually not the accounting people. So what we see is a lot of folks will buy JobPlanner for their project managers, their field, etc. And the Acumatica itself, they don't even have to have logins into, but the Acumatica is for the accounting folk to keep track of the ultimate version of the truth, is whether I'm making money or losing money on the jobs. So as you can see, I opened this thing up into a dashboard. I want to highlight some things. I am typing into a website from any device, HTTPS, name of the website. And you could have two-factor authentication and other security principles in place to do that. So I have this as my default dashboard, project overview. And I'm going to highlight some things here. But again, I brought up earlier, it's about real-time access to data in real time. All these dashboards can be published to the mobile device. So I could on my mobile device, I get the real estate's a little different, but I could publish any dashboard in Acumatica to a device on the Acumatica mobile app that a person could consume, along with other functionality that's on there that is beyond today's discussion. So again, this is just data in the system, not just, I don't think QuickBooks has dashboards. So I've got a project cost by projects over here. I've got a quadrant down here. These are all customizable. These dashboards, they can be made unique to different roles, etc. I happen to be in here as the project manager, CFO, so I'm getting a look at everything. So I got one down here, it's revised, and it's got remaining budget. Down here, I got estimated profit percentage by project. This over here, not theoretically, you could have cameras on the job site that are tied to any particular project, and you could see what was going on any given job site with cameras out feeding this dashboard. Down here, I'm getting into the gross profit by project, etc. That's in the system. Contract status by project, gross profit by project, revised contract by project. This means change orders from the original base. Change order log is keeping track of change orders, but Bart alluded to it. It's depending on where you want to keep track of some of this stuff, is whether you do them in JobPlanner or you do them in Acumatica. And as Bart alluded to, that's a case by case, different basis, construction company to construction company. It's who wants to be in control of, different things, billing, change orders, etc. This down here is just telling me that these are open, unanswered tasks that we're waiting on answers for. So with that said, I'm going to show you some of the user interface. And by the way, Acumatica released 2025 R2, which I would not load on this demo site because I didn't want any surprises for today. So, but they've made quantum leaps. Acumatica puts out a release every 2 releases a year. These are not bug fixes. They are quantum leaps in technology. And they made some quantum leaps in the construction edition in 2025 R2 that we will show in later webinars and demos. So up here in the universal search, let's just type go to. What's that do? Well, that searches the entire database looking for this word go to. Well, I have a vendor that's called go to vendor, so I could go see it. And I got some bills from go to vendor. Okay. This is just showing you the universal search. A lot of our customers, let's just say I knew go to called about invoice. I think it's 5350. And there's 5350. I can actually drill into it and see the actual AP bill that is coming up on the screen. So there's the AP bill. There could be attachments up here. That's beyond the scope of today. The files attached to it. That could be the bill itself. It could be other files attached to it. But I wanted to demonstrate this search. If you're, again, my degree being accounting, so I'm top heavy in debits, credits, cost, revenue. So up here, somewhat companies we deal with have multiple companies that roll up into one big roll up company. And I got 2 companies here, products and services, and they got branches in it. So Acumatica out of the box is multi-company, multi-branch capabilities. And you can roll those things up from a roll-up perspective. This Capital Revision 2 happens to be the parent of all of these. So I could roll these all up or look at them individually. So with that said, the core of the system is over here in the construction. So I'm going to drill in to looking at a project here. Okay, so I know the beach project has data in it. So there's our hotel. So I am down into the project specific nature of the setup of a project. And as JobPlanner alluded to, and the other people in our stack of technology, this stuff all integrates to Acumatica projects. Okay, so the core is the project in Acumatica, because the accounting folk and the people at the office wanted to know whether I'm making money on a job or losing money on a job. So the basic setup here is the summary of the tasks and the jobs. And over here I have tasks. They only got, these are the tasks here. Don't get hung up. They're 01, general requirements, site work, masonry. And these can be set up whatever your work breakdown structure is on a typical job. You can make templates out of those. And then when you get a new job, just use the template that is made up of general requirements and stuff. But this is completely flexible on what your work breakdown structure is. We just have to have one. So the revenue budget starts out, remember, I'm a bean guy, accounting person. So this is the revenue budget. This is what my original estimate was. There's no revised, even though this thing down here at the concrete level has a potential change order that's going to affect the revised budget amount, but it's not been approved, so it didn't really kick in as revised. And I go across here and I have the actual amounts that have hit the system from various costs, AP, payroll, etc., costs that have hit the system. But you can see it's a pretty thorough understanding and retainage. We brought up about QuickBooks. QuickBooks is not going to do retainage on an AIA billing. It's not going to do retainage on a sub. It's not going to do any of that. So retainage is critical in just about every construction company I deal with. That's the revenue budget. So basically, I got revenue, I got cost, right? So here's my cost budget. This is what I originally broke my breakdown units into what the costs were. I got permits, and can be as granular as you need it to be. And I am keeping track of these original budgeted amounts, and then these budgeted amounts can change and they move through the system. But at the end of the day, I've got revenue and I got cost. The other commitment that's on here is balances. This is just a roll up. Again, I'm looking at a single project here. The original amount, income totals, potential change order amounts, actual amount, etc. And this is keeping track of actual costs. The other thing in Acumatica, committed costs are POs that have been created to a subcontractor or anybody, but I haven't got the AP bill yet. So on WIP reports and other areas of reporting, when you're looking at job profitability, all great. I got this actual revenue and this actual cost, but I got 500,000 in POs out there that I haven't got an AP bill. So all those factors get factored in determining whether I'm ahead or behind on any given job at any moment in time. These commitments, I kind of alluded to that. These are POs that I've created to my subs, my vendors, my suppliers that I either got partial of the bill or I haven't got any of the bill, but they are commitments. They are commitments of cost that I have created POs for, but I haven't maybe got a bill for yet, or I could. The invoices, again, Bart alluded to that. You want to invoice out of Acumatica, it'll do AIA billing too. It depends on your company, on who you want to do that. Okay. Some of our companies that the accounting folks are controlling the billings, they will send a pro forma out to the project manager for them to review. And once that review is done, it comes back in a workflow, and accounting will create the bill based on the approval workflow of the pro forma invoice to the project manager. Change orders, again, you can track the change orders in the system that happen against the job. These are actual requests that maybe I've requested a change request, but it hasn't been approved yet. Union just is union, this job's not union, etc. But that is what Acumatica under the hood is tracking at a project by project level. Another thing that happens in this world, again, is the accountants. If you have an outside accountant, your in-kind accountants, somewhere in the construction business, they are doing WIP reports. Acumatica will generate these reports automatically. A lot of times in QuickBooks, it takes about 3 weeks to make a WIP report because we're cutting and pasting stuff into Excel in order to get a WIP report out. But it is a necessary function of any construction company on a month-to-month basis for financial statement purposes. And unequivocally, you have to have a good WIP report to report on your taxes. So if you run this report, anybody on this call that knows what a WIP report looks like or what you go through to do that, this is a basic standard AICPA accounting dictated WIP report that, again, I cannot allude to this enough. Any construction company has to have one of these a WIP report. And this is just keeping track of basically everything that I showed you on that project screen is in these columns. And I'm not going to go into all these columns, obviously. And I'm sure nobody wants me to. Okay. So, that's the highlights. Again, as Bart alluded to, we could go on and on. Another thing I wanted to allude to today, a lot of our specialty contractors not only do commercial grade bid jobs, commercial grades, but they also do service work. So Acumatica has a field services module that is all part of the, suite of construction packages. If you do field service, right? So what happens there is customers can place service work orders, requests via a portal, via an email, etc. But at the end of the day, if I go look at this calendar board, and this data is old, my friends, but I'll give you a little look at something here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a calendar board. What this is saying is on the field service side. So a lot of our specialty contractors that do heating, plumbing, HVAC, etc. They not only build jobs, but they also have a robust service industry. So Acumatica, under a single umbrella, can take care of that end of your business, plus the construction side that's actual projects. And this service board, again, it says September. I got anything scheduled, but if I go back and look at this data is kind of old, but that's telling me it's scheduled, these work orders. And if I wanted to take a new work order, I could grab it and drop it on the calendar. I could assign it to a person. And what would happen if you had trucks out in the field? That person would get an alert that a service ticket had just been assigned to them without them coming back, the old school of getting their paperwork for their jobs, their field service jobs that they're going to go out and do this week, today, or, the next couple of weeks. And these could be crews too. I have customers that have a crew that 2 people go do this service work. The other thing that this would do as well is if you are a specialty contractor, that you have preventive maintenance schedules with people, you're tracking their equipment, and their preventive maintenance is every quarter, every week, whatever the frequency is. And you want to track individual pieces of equipment at that particular site in terms of a work order history and repair. That's what field service does. So, and what we have talked about before was a lot of GC, general contractor specific stuff, but contractors are specialty contractors as well. And Acumatica addresses that as well with their field service module. With that said, again, I thank everyone for the time. We could go on for this for a little bit deeper dive, but that's not the scope of this today. So with that said, I am done with my part of this webinar, and I turn it back to Eli.
Well, thank you, Joe. And I for everybody out there, obviously you can tell there's a wealth of knowledge that's here, both from the job planner side and from Joe's experience. And we could go on for quite some time about the intricate details. I just want to touch on one quick question that came through. It's kind of a combination for both Empower and for Job Planner. And it's all about really this change management piece. What's the biggest hurdles companies face when moving from, to your point, Joe, spreadsheets, or Bart, from the legacy systems to a connected workflow? And how do both Empower and Job Planner help smooth that transition? I don't know if
I
Joe,
can answer that. One, first and foremost, it has to come from the top. Change. If you want to be a modern construction company, it has to come to begin with from the top. That we are not going to do what we did for 25 years. And that's like the first step to me, is that the company realizes we can't go on this way. We want to grow the business and we want to be a modern construction company. That's first and foremost. And then from there, you're dealing with a credible partner that has done this before. It's not a new rodeo, that can lead your team through that process of implementation of an ERP. But unequivocally, it has to come from the top down, that we have to make change and we have to innovate and change in order to be a company in the year 2025.
Bart, anything to add to that?
I think that's well said.
Pretty spot on. Yeah.
Well said. We put a team on it on our end to help with that transition, because we know change is difficult, and we're here with you. Throughout that process, and we'll do what we can to help. And whether it's training, whether sometimes it's helping to upload and move files from an old file system, we'll help with that. But everybody has that kind of unique change. What does it take to get going? So, we'll be there for you.
And the support piece, I know, is an integral element too of Empower's functionality and how they support not just through implementation, but the ongoing elements. So sort of where you're at, that's something that we can talk about through discovery. There is one question I just wanted to throw over to you, Bart. It's on the field adoption. Field teams, we often resist new technology. So how does Job Planner make it simple for those superintendents or those crews to enter updates without sort of adding extra steps?
Yeah, we do have Android and iOS app. So Whether it's, your iPad or your iPhone, those tools make it really simple, so it's the same login to the website with a very simple user interface that people are starting to get really used to. Like, your punch list, there's a camera button, you push it, it brings up the camera, allows you to save it right to it. So I think that the tools that we've built in the field help that along. And then again, the support that we have to be there with them to help answer some of those questions.
Perfect. I appreciate that, Bart. And we've got a plethora of questions, but I think, we're sort of maxed on time. I just want to wrap us up, say thank you again to our partners at JobPlanner. Joe, thank you as well. This has really been an ongoing series for us. And you've seen the power of moving beyond spreadsheets and disconnected apps isn't just about saving time. It's about making better decisions in real time with one version of the truth that everyone can trust. So if you'd like to explore how Empower can help your company build a future-ready ERP strategy, we encourage you to schedule a future-ready technology review with our team. We're happy to schedule time with you to sort of look at where you are today and where you want to go. And of course, from the JobPlanner side, if you have questions or interest in digging in deeper, we just kind of peeked behind the curtain today. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us and we can connect you with the folks at JobPlanner, with Pat and with Bart. But on behalf of Empower and JobPlanner, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to helping you take the next step toward a fully connected construction workflow. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.